Yo, 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 yo. Thanks for checking out the channel. You're watching 22 Chaos Film Review. So today, guys, we are going to get into a preview of the Chargers and the Patriots. So we're going to do a breakdown. I've been looking at the film. Your boy took 2 weeks off to kind of end the year. I'm back. I'm ready to do this playoff run off the injury report, so to speak. So, anyway, guys, let's get into it. Like, subscribe, send to a friend of a friend. Just get the channel out there, guys. I love what we do. I love what we're doing here. We're going to continue to build it. So, again, thank you for checking out the channel. Let's get to it. All right, guys, we are about to get into let's see. Yeah, we're going to get into the injury report real quick. We're going to start off with that. So, let's see. Right now, I know we got a couple, Bradbury, Verdarian Lowe, Mumford. Actually, I'm sorry, Bradbury and Verdarian Lowe are the ones that are out with sickness. I think I also saw that it was Morgan Moses, yeah, and then Anthony Jennings. Some of our guys on the line, on both sides of the line, are down with sicknesses, but I think we're okay. Chris Tonga, not sure if he's gonna play. I'm hopeful he's gonna play. It does show he's limited. Keishawn Booty, I don't think we'll miss. Harold Landry, I know has been dealing with the knee, so hopefully we get him back. Jared Wilson is back from concussion protocol. We'll have an actual conversation about Jared Wilson as it pertains to this game. Then you got Gibbons, Hunter Henry, Jennings, Morgan Moses, Robert Spillane. These guys were full participants. I believe this is as Thursday. So noticeable guys on the Chargers side: Brett Dupree, Mario Hampton. He's out with an ankle. Bud Dupree's out with a hamstring. Keandre's out with a hamstring, and Kendall Wilson, their safety's out with an ankle. As of Thursday, these guys haven't played. I think the main person I'm concerned about there are the main two people. I think off the top of my head is like Amari Hampton. I think they're running back. Pretty good guy. Did some film breakdown on him. Bud Dupree didn't go deep into him personally, but just as a name around the league, he's a guy that can play. So I want to show you guys. I know a lot of you guys don't have the NFL Pro paid for. This is where we go and watch film and stuff like this. So as we wrap up this little preview and all that good stuff, I want to show you guys this. Hey, I know you guys have maybe never seen it. I always wonder where people get their stats and stuff from. This is kind of where we always do it. So this is a peek behind the scene. But let me, before we get into it, let's kind of show what we got on the table today. So we are going to go, give me a second. Gonna go and add the sauce here. Actually, let's do this. And then we're going to do this. All right. So we went over the injury report. We're going to do the game preview. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about the big picture of what I see. I'm actually going to, have some thoughts and opinions on who can get exposed. And then I'm pretty much, you guys know, I'm a Patriots fan. I got it on in the back. I'm definitely picking the Patriots, but I definitely want to talk about the things that could really potentially make the Patriots a one and done season, which would really suck. And then I'll get kind of like a final game prediction in terms of the score. So let's get into it. Let's see. Okay. So again, these are just some of the metrics and things like that. Actually some of the things that go into like rating and seeing how the game is performed. This is some of the insight, I should say. So not to belabor this, I think that if you talk about weakness on weakness, everyone has talked about how the Chargers offensive line, obviously they've been decimated with injuries. They're on their like 12th left tackle, right tackle, things like that. So Joel, the other gentleman, is out. So anyway, you get the point. Their offensive line is like decimated. So, but the Patriots, they're not the greatest at pass rush either, right? So it becomes I hate to say it, no disrespect to anybody that may watch this that gives a damn, but like, it is a weakness on a weakness. So as you can see here, the Patriots defense, obviously it's a top 10 defense, which I'm very surprised about overall in the grand scheme of things, but I'm not going to belabor that. We can maybe get into that in the offseason, what my expectations were going into the season versus how they end up playing out in the end. But I was very shaky, and I have been a little negative on this defense. I know a lot of you didn't like my Gonzo comments and things like that. If you haven't seen that, you can go to TikTok. You can check out the other YouTube channels. But overall, this defense being a relative top 10 defense, seeing it now, I'm like, okay, that doesn't surprise me, but definitely did not think they were going to be in the top 10. Maybe thought they were going to be in the top 15 as we wrapped up the season, but shout out to them. Um, Overall, the rushing efficiency dropped for the Patriots. Obviously, they didn't have Milton Williams. They didn't have Robert Spillane. That's the middle of your defense. You're forcing everything on Barmore, and Kyrus Tonga was out as well. So you just didn't really have the middle of your defense, as well as really the edge too, because Harold Landry took some time off. So the defense got decimated at the end, and so I think the overall rush efficiency, though it does favor the Chargers, I think it's something that will favor the Patriots. I think they're going to I think they're going to be able to stop the run essentially, and we'll get into that. Pressure rate, again, we talked about it. Landry's going to be back. He's going to be as healthy as he can be, probably into the offseason. I look for him to, make some plays. And I'm not necessarily meaning sacks, but just make some plays and even play sound football. So, again, we'll get into that. On the other side, the Patriots offense, obviously we're number 1 in passing efficiency, number 7 in rushing efficiency, which is great. I predicted via X, I said this, like you can you can always timestamp me on my thoughts. Yeah, I think I said that Stevenson was going to be a baller in the end. I know that doesn't sound like it's true analysis, but I just thought ultimately that Stevenson was not going to continue to fumble the ball. And I thought that you give Stevenson a chance to step up to that line, he's going to get you 4 yards. And that's value in this Josh McDaniels defense, or offense, I'm sorry, because they want to stay ahead of the sticks. This is nothing against Trey Henderson. I love Trey. We all love our guys, right? And so, but I just thought that Stevenson being a bruising back in the winter, man, and playing through New England, especially when we realized they were going to have more home field advantages than they wasn't, or at least competing for the 1 seed. I'm like, Stevenson is going to be a bruising back that's going to matter. He's going to have I thought and think that he's going to have a kind of LeGarrette Blount feel to this team, especially if they go off and win the championship. I think he's going to be a big part of it. So it's good to see that their rushing efficiency is picked up. But the Chargers defense is also good at stopping the run, or so we are to believe. So pressure rate, Chargers do a decent job at pressure rate. Patriots do a subpar job at, well, I think that's factored into the sacks too as well, which most of us do believe that's Drake's. A lot of those sacks kind of fall into Drake, kind of maybe like, shifting into pressure and then scrambling into pressure early in the season, I should say. So, I'm not too much worried about that either. But anyway, couple insights to the game, and then we will get into my real thoughts and opinions, and I hope you all can see this. So, Lad McConkey, he's going to average 40 yards. Based on the stats, he's eclipsed 40 receiving yards in 9 of his 16 games in 2025, averaging 43 receiving yards per game, the second most for the Chargers. Another quick stat. Drake May was held to 240 passing yards just 5 times this season. He's averaged 258.5 passing yards per game, the 4th most in 2025. Now, however, against teams that finished with the 500 record or better, May has averaged 232 yards per game and threw 2 touchdowns. And the Patriots went 1-2. Against playoff teams in 2025, the Chargers only allowed 174.5 passing yards, which is 4th. So, and we're going to get into some of that too as why. Derwin James, I'm not going to read all that, but basically he's played everywhere. He's played on the D-line. He's played on he's played up on the line of scrimmage. He's played at the linebacker. He's played at the safety. He is their Troy Polamalu. He is going to be able to make some things shake. He's going to be confusing. He's going to be all over. But I think that there's going to be some opportunities to take advantage of creativity with simplicity. So we'll get into that as well too. Chargers utilize a package of Adofe Awu, Tulu, Tua Pulutua, Khalil Mack on 82 plays since acquiring Owe. And week 6, 70 of which have come on 3rd down. So essentially, basically, they're just using their best players. They have, again, some very interesting concepts on the defense. So we're not going to get into the film review, by the way, guys. I just want to make you guys be aware of that, primarily because, I want to be credentialed at some point in one day, and I just need to find a way to make content without doing the film review. We still may do it, but I may upgrade that to a Patreon just because I'll never make a dime doing that, and that takes a lot of freaking brain power to do that film review stuff, especially creating the content around doing it so you guys can understand it and things like that. So we're probably going to get back to more of the film review stuff at some point, maybe during the off season, just to kind of like bridge those gaps of downtime. But for now, we're going to just be kind of talking and doing the traditional style format. So, all right. So, like I said, we had some topics we want to get to. Let's get this back on screen for me. Give me 1 second. All right. So, Game preview, my preliminary thoughts. Um, with the Chargers offense, right now with the offensive line, the way that it is and decimated as it is, I think simply this: go 5-man front on early downs, stop the run. Chris Tonga, Barmore, Milton, Landry, and Anthony Jennings. Uh, I think, and I know Chase, and I'm not even sure Chase. I think Chase is fine. I think he's been fine, but I don't think he's really the edge sealer that we need. I'm going after me personally. I'm going after Anthony Jennings on the edge. He's a great sealer of the edge. Let me explain. 5-man front. I don't want you blitzing against Justin Herbert because he's going to shred your blitz. Even with a broken hand and in like a high school offensive line, he's still been very, very good against the blitz. This offensive line is whatever they're decimated, but they're very well coached. I mean, I actually don't know their coach, but just looking at the film, they're very well coached. They struggled very early, like when I previewed the Titans game when they played the Titans. They struggled, and that Titans defense was just it's just so not coached well, like, or just didn't play well. Like it was ridiculous. But anyway, they struggled picking up stunts and things like that, delayed blitzes. But as the season progressed, they got a lot better at it, even though they were still decimated. So I think once they built some continuity with the line that they were just going to be stuck with to ride out the season, you could see improvement in the play within that. Now, again, I think that they're susceptible to getting beat on some one-on-ones, but I don't know if we got the guys to really just beat one-on-one. So this is what I would do going into the game. 5-man front, have my big boys on early downs, never let them get ahead of the sticks. I'm rotating man, cover 1, cover 2, maybe even some elements, obviously some cover 3. But I'll definitely rotate it on the back end to keep him guessing and looking at different options. And I'll get into I'll back up from the line. We'll talk about the line, the trenches, and then we'll kind of spread out that way. Just to show you how my brain's thinking about breaking this down. So defensive line, again, 5-man front on early down, stop the run, get them behind the sticks. I think you need Anthony Jennings, and you need I think you can actually free up Harold Landry for maybe even more one-on-ones with this look. Here's why. The Chargers are using their fullback as essentially a tight end. Their tight end, when they use their actual tight end, if he's on the field, he's running out. He's going to delay block and he's going to run short. He's going to run some out route. He's going to work, so something like that as like a fail safe for Justin Herbert to get the ball out very quickly. He's just kind of like a pillow. You know what I'm saying? He's just right there for him. So, and he's not really that great, respectfully. So, I think that if you line up in a 5-man front against what seemingly really is a tradition, how do I say? They don't really use a tight end package, and when they do, it's really a fullback who's probably gonna chip at best. He's not very athletic. You could, as a defense, force the offense into situations where they need to adjust based on your defense, not necessarily allowing the offense to dictate what defense you're in, which was a huge conversation going into the season about, or like middle of the season, where like a lot of people are talking about like how offenses come out and does that dictate coverage, or coverage does it dictate the offense? And so I think that you can have a situation where you could essentially oppose your will on early downs and basically say, hey, listen, you're not going to be running the ball on us. Now, can Justin Herbert can he go drop back 30 times or whatever? Yeah, I mean, he can. I don't think that's the game plan. I don't think that should be the game plan. But I would like to force him into that game plan. And I will go back. I will also tell you why on that as well. So, but ultimately, I think our D-line has an opportunity to make timely plays. I need them to corral Justin Herbert. Let's actually back up now to the quarterback. I need them to corral Justin Herbert. I don't need them necessarily to sack him. Justin Herbert right now, as it stands today, based on what I've seen in the film, he looks sped up just off principle. If you follow football, everyone knows that everyone talked about, like, for at least a better part of the season, about how Patrick Mahomes doesn't trust his offensive line, or it looks like he doesn't trust his offensive line, because you could see him pressing, you could see him moving around, you could see him trying to extend, or the minute there was a slight whiff of pressure, it would cause movement or them to leave the pocket. Justin Herbert is sped up right now. If you get to him early, or if you force him into consistent dropbacks, guess what? You should ideally be hitting him. You should be ideally swiping at that hand. You should be ideally pestering him. And I think that if you get into that rhythm early, if you get them into that mindset early of like these boys are coming, again, not blitzing, but these guys are coming, these guys are corralling. I'm trying to step to the left, I'm trying to step to the right. There's really no gap for me to escape. I think that you can really rattle him. And I also think Justin Herbert simply is not seeing it right now. I think, for example, in the Texas game, is it Quentin Johnson? He had multiple opportunities early in the game where he was beating Stingley and the other court in their CB2 in Houston. Justin's burning them, and Justin's not seeing it. He's not even, you know what I'm saying. So it's like there's a lot of, even over the middle sometimes, or there are things that are about to come open that he really is not throwing with anticipation, because I don't think he trusts the overall process. Meaning of just like scanning the field, being able to go through his progressions, and then trust the offensive line to hold up. So I think right now he's really, really sped up. And so what I would do is I just think that ultimately I would corral him, make sure he comes. Uh, Sorry to hit a button here. Why y'all didn't tell me the music was still on? I'm like, Jesus. Anyway, hopefully it wasn't too loud. Hopefully you guys could hear me. But anyway, the music gets in my ear for so long that I kind of tune it out. But anyway, basically, yeah, I would corral him. I would squeeze the pocket on him. I would take away the ability to escape to the left or the right. He's extremely accurate when on the run. At least I think they said like anything that he's going, like anytime he rolls out going even over 8 miles an hour, he's like 80%, 81% accuracy throwing on the run. So again, you just don't want to do those things. Now, again, also with Justin Herbert. Outside of just being sped up, like I said, I want to go back to the not seeing and not throwing with anticipation. I think now as we branch out to the wide receivers, that there's also a wide to that. This receiving core is kind of slow. They're shifty. I think they are experienced. I think they have on the right teams with lazy defensive backs or things like that, or maybe there's just no pressure on Justin Herbert. I think that they could absolutely cook, but I just don't see in a playoff game that happening. I don't see Justin Herbert dropping back and throwing for 400 yards, not against this secondary. So now let's talk about that. Um, well, actually, let me talk about it from a receiver perspective on the Chargers. So the Chargers perspective is that they're going to run 3 to 4 receivers out. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna be a shotgun, running back, maybe a fullback as a wide receiver that comes in and seals an edge for him. He motions in, kind of give them a read on if it's man or if it's zone. They kind of use him a lot to do that. Kind of flex the fullback out back and forth to kind of get a read on the situation. So hopefully the Patriots are a little bit keen to that, and they don't necessarily shift based on just the fact that a fullback is moving. Because really, again, he's just probably going to be sealing the edge or probably something out in the flats. I mean, I just don't see him being a real threat. They don't really use him to be a real threat. Maybe just more so like what the defense is in. But anyway, I think that the Chargers wide receiver group, or the way they try to scheme routes open for Ladd and for Quentin and those guys, they run a lot of stack formations. They run a lot of bunch formations, and not they do run bunch towards the line of scrimmage. I'm sorry, closer to the line of scrimmage, but more so they're stacked to the outside. So what they try to do is essentially try to beat a lot of man. They run a lot of man beaters, things like that. So I do see situations where I could see, for example, if Marcus Jones is going to be on Ladd McConkey, I could see a situation where it's Carlton Davis and Marcus Jones on one side. It's going to be Quentin. It's going to because actually something that I know the Texans did, and I think the Patriots will follow, is that I don't think these guys are going to travel. I think they're comfortable enough lining like, hey, Carlton, you stay on your side. Gonzo, you stay on yours, and I think they're just going to take whatever matchup comes their way, and I think that's okay. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, and nor am I going to spam hey, we need to run man 50% of the time. No, I think this is going to be a little bit of thing. I think you can confuse Justin Herbert, so I think they should definitely be rotating coverages and showing some things late. But generally speaking, they're going to try to run a lot of man beaters. They're going to try to free up guys for 6-yard gains, maybe even kind of like a curl, like all those like quick curl routes. At the linebacker depth, they're going to try to sit in zones. They're willing to work down the field. They don't really take a lot of big plays. I think, for example, when I talked about how Quentin was beating Stingley on a lot of fade routes, and Justin Herbert just wasn't throwing it. And I'm like, as the game progressed, you could definitely tell who's ever in the booth was kind of like, hey, like this is working. And they did hit some plays off of it, but it was later in the game. I don't think that what worries me about the Patriots secondary, as we kind of flip now, what worries me about the Patriots secondary is that Gonzo and Davis, because they are man corners and we don't run a lot of man, we don't run a heavy man. Again, check the stats for people who don't. We do not run heavy man. Um, I think sometimes they can like fall asleep defensively, especially in zone. I think Gonzo is absolutely bored, and not gonna make this a Gonzo conversation. I love Gonzo. Trust me, guys. I wish I was half the player that Gonzo was, and I'm really kind of feeling myself. I was that dog too. My boys that watch the channel, they know that boy. I was that dog. That's why I talk cornerback the way I do. But anyway, I just think that I just think they cannot be lazy in the secondary. We can't have brain farts in the secondary. We cannot give up big plays in the secondary, and that is exactly what happened. What they did against the Texans. I think they hit two. I'm sorry. Actually, yeah, they hit. I want to say two big plays. At least like 20 plus 30 yards down the field, fade routes. Also like really good up the seam routes to beat cover one. So those are one of the few times that like he was pretty decisive, Justin Herbert, on his throws. And he did make them pay for it. Usually when he's decisive and he's gonna sit in the pocket, he's gonna make a play. I'm not gonna lie, he'll make a play. But again, it's just about how many times can you do that? So I think the secondary, again, crossing the street, going to the other side of the ball. I think the Patriots secondary really needs to be active, really needs to understand what's going on, really need to try to find ways to communicate on the secondary level, or especially on cornerback when they're stacked and they're going to be nickel, they're going to be running Marcus Jones, they're going to be running Carlton Davis, going to be running Gonzo. I do not want to see them do what they did. Forgot what game that was, where they literally just swapped. Can I think of that? Can't think of that game to save my life. But they essentially got Marcus Jones mismatched on the wrong person, on the wrong receiver. That's a bigger, more physical, more possession type receiver. That's not his matchup. He's half my size, and I'm not a big guy, right? Respect to Marcus Jones, he's the best. But I'm like, that's not his matchup, and I don't want to see them get crisscrossed like that, and to where they're giving up not only big gains but timely plays. Because this game could be a nail biter. It could be tight. I'm not sure. I'm talking myself into my score, by the way. I haven't really decided yet, but we're talking ourselves through it. But anyway, so that's that. Linebackers. This is one of the things I want to bring to the channel, guys, in terms of like really talking about like some technical stuff. I could care less about the name on the jersey. I care more about what is happening, what is being coached, what is being done out on the field, right? That's why this channel is called Film Review. So again, you get my point. But what I'm really trying to say is, the point I'm trying to get to is that linebackers. If I was a linebackers coach and I could simplify one thing for them, for the Patriots defense, when you are dropping to your zones, and I swear to God, y'all, if I wanted to clip this, but I just didn't. Again, I don't want to get into that because the NFL has some policies against that. But I really wanted to clip this because I had to start, and then I watched more film, and then watched another linebacker group do this, and they literally did a pick six off Justin Herbert because of this. Linebackers. Javai, Spillane, they are going to have you chasing sidelines. They're going to drop that running back out. They're going to drop that tight end out. They're going to do those things all the freaking time. They want you going sideline to sideline so they can crisscross those receivers, and one of them is going to sit right where you're running away, or you're dropping back too far. They're going to sit right in front of you. That is okay. That is mean you are taking away the deep things. But what I would like the linebackers to do is to be able to get in their stance, and actually look to where they're running. And this doesn't, and I want to show this a little bit on camera. I know a lot of people don't podcast this way, but I do want to podcast this way. Got when you are a linebacker and the quarterback snaps the ball, okay, bet cool. If I'm dropping to a curl to flat, turn your head and see what you're dropping into, which with the especially if you have like a two receiver side, see what is going on. I hate when linebackers drop to their zones, but their eyes on the quarterback. Why do I hate that? 9 times out of 10, you're dropping lazy. 9 times out of 10, you're not in a proper back pedal. 9 times out of 10, you're gonna get beat because someone's going to going to close up your zone, and now they have the option based on how your footwork is set. They have the option left or right, and that can usually be a 7 yard, 10 yard, or a big game because boom, the running back then crossed you up. Boom, we've seen Stevenson do it all the time. Get out there, shuffle, get those linebackers in the jam, break one way, and then he's gone for a nice catch. Or what I'm saying, he's got a catch on the sideline. He's got a little, like a little wheel route that he caught over. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so we see it all the time in the Patriots offense. I hate when these guys just sit here look, everyone's just eyes on the quarterback. Because again, there are things running around you, and the whole thing about offenses, especially on the outside, they are taught to eat up your space. Tight ends, how to shift themselves, body themselves, position themselves. It's all about positioning. It's all about quickness. It's all about these little elements of the game. And when the reason why I don't want our linebackers to be so flat-footed and to just be focused on Justin Herbert is because Justin Herbert is not Lamar Jackson. It's not Josh Allen. He's not going to get QB runs called this game. If they call QB runs for Justin Herbert, I pray that we have another Jackson Dart Spillane on Dart hit. Knock him to Tuesday. He shouldn't even know. He shouldn't even be worried about waking up to a Tuesday. If that's the case, they're not going to do it with a broken hand, right? We all get that. So my thing is that he is not a scrambling quarterback. He can scramble. He can make plays with his legs. He can. He's tough. I get all the hyperboles. But what I'm saying to you is that he's not going to snap that ball from the shotgun and immediately notice something or see man and then take off. That is not what he's trying to do. That's not what the capability he is right now with this injury. So if my linebackers are dropping and looking where they are going and then flipping their head back, it doesn't have to be, it can be quick. Said hut, drop, okay, boom. Justin is still going to be in the pocket, right? But now you're dropping to a zone more closer to an act to a play to your next to the person in your field, especially if it's not taking you quite out of position. You dropping and understanding, or maybe even being able to bump a receiver as he's coming across. They run a lot of double crossers. Like if you're able to just continue to throw off the timing on receivers who are shifty but not fast, not sprinter speed, not open field speed type of receivers, you are going to make it very hard for this offense to stay on schedule in the passing game. What are we doing on early downs? Running 5-man fronts, confusing, corralling. Now we're in 3rd and 10, we're in 3rd and 12, we're in 3rd and 9, and now we have our nickel package, which will probably already primarily be out, but you have your nickel package out. Okay. And now you're being able to be a more aggressive, you know what I'm saying? And things like that. So you just kind of put this thing all together when you see where the Chargers are lacking and what they have versus what the Patriots have, especially in particular to the secondary. Where we are weak primarily to me is the linebacker core still. I think the linebackers really need to have a man match kind of mindset where I am going to be making sure that I am in the zones or I'm very close to these underneath guys, because again, my secondary should be able to run with these guys and stay attached to these guys, even for an extended, even if he does happen to break containment. I think more times than not, the Patriots secondary should win that battle. So, all right. So now we talk about who gets exposed. I think, thinks that the Patriots offense is going to run down the throats of this Chargers defense, especially on the edge. Why? Them cornerbacks and secondary don't want to tackle. I say that again. Them cornerbacks and secondary don't want to tackle. I'm telling you right now, the way Henderson can pop one and the way that Ramondre will just run you into the ground for 4 quarters. He has a second back that's going to take the workload. You're really lucky we don't have Gibson. I still love Gibson to this day. I'm always going to love Gibson. I follow his amazing wife on social media. She's freaking awesome. And I love that she gives us the insight into Gibson because he's so stoic. But it's good. It's just awesome to see those behind the scenes. But anyway, enough of being a fan for a second. But yeah, like I think Ramondre, I think we're going to be able to seal the edge. I think their linebacker core is susceptible to crackbacks, cracking down. I know Hollins is not going to play. I'm expecting I'm expecting Douglas, though small, to contribute. I'm expecting Chisholm to play like it's his last. I want him to be the scatterboo of slot receivers. Okay, I want him taking guys out. I want this Patriots wide receiver core to be aggressive at really getting to the helping getting to the second level. I think this offensive line is going to have their hands full, especially with the confusion and the communication on the O line. But I think that if we're able to run the ball, I'm telling you guys, that outside run and those cutback lanes are going to be there for both running backs. And I think that I really hope and anticipate that Josh McDaniels is going to have these cornerbacks and safeties tackling all game, which I think is going to lead to a few breaks, at least some really big plays in the run game, which is going to keep this offensive head of schedule. Because I really think that's the formula here. Just stay ahead of schedule, you'll be fine. I don't know if this Chargers offense is going to do much that's going to make me worried long term, unless the Patriots just really shit the bed. That's the reality of the situation. So when I say who gets exposed, yeah, definitely the Chargers secondary. I think the Chargers secondary is going to get exposed. I think I absolutely believe it. I think that in a cold weather game, coming across the country, different time zone, all that good jazz. I think that you have an opportunity to punch them in the mouth early and often, and I just don't see their offensive line, though they are very aggressive run game as well. I just don't see it on the other end, especially with Spillane back. I was not a Spillane fan to start out, but I love the way he's grown and adapted in this system and the way he's improved on his individual technique to be an overall better player. And I think he's badass, and I think he's going to show it. So I think this defense is going to come fired out. I also think that just in general, this Chargers secondary can be had. I think a lot of times, one thing I will say about the Chargers wide receiver group, they run into a lot of zones. They run into zone coverage. I don't think that they're the most, because of the lack of speed and the just it feels like it's such a grind to get where they need to be on the field. I think that they struggle with sitting in zones and things like that. Because of their lack of speed at the receiver core, I think they run into a lot of zones. That's why I said we don't need a lot of man here. We could really mix things up and keep these guys confused, because I just don't think they're going to be able to see it in real time, especially with the fact that they're not going to have a lot of time to get to what they need to get to without that defense kind of corralling on Justin Herbert. But the secondary, our secondary, the Patriots secondary, I think that ultimately, I forgot where I was going with that, to be transparent. Yeah, I think they just need to do what they need to do. And lock those guys down. Let's see, who do we talk? Who did we not talk about? We got the D-line. Yeah. So ultimately, yeah, I think in terms of what needs to go wrong or what has to go wrong for them to lose this, I think it's pretty simple. I think it's Drake May. I'm not gonna sit up and say Drake Man's awesome every freaking video, right? There's too many other elements to this game, and I'm not gonna do that. Drake Man's awesome. He's been playing awesome. We freaking love him to death, and he's the next thing to Tom Brady for me. I'm good on it. I don't want any other quarterback. Patrick Mahomes can come knocking on the door. I actually played with a walk-on. Patrick Mahomes was at Texas Tech. Awesome dude. All that good jazz. Yeah, I want my quarterback. I want Drake May. That's all I'm saying on it. Should he win the MVP? Absolutely. He's done more with less. That's respect to every single person on this team that's played their ass off, but they are not the Los Angeles Chargers in terms of skill position. He has done more with less. And if Stafford was to win an MVP, he has an offensive player that could win Offensive Player of the Year. And I don't think that Drake May has that. Now, if you want to penalize him for having Gonzo, then I guess go ahead, crack at it. But anyway, all jokes aside, I think Drake's going to be the MVP, and I think he's freaking awesome. And I don't expect him to fold in this game. I think he's going to have to weather the storm of going through it. But I think Josh McDaniels is going to have him prepared, and Josh McDaniels is going to be able to make adjustments on the football field. That's going to be the key to the game. But what has to go wrong? Injuries. I'm not sure if they're going to put Jared Wilson in over Ben Brown. Ben Brown's been really, really good as a kind of do it all type of offensive lineman. I'm not sure they're going to put him in with coming off a concussion. I don't know how I feel about that. I like Jared Wilson. I love Ben Brown as well. I think again these guys they've had some really awesome, really good seasons, really solid seasons. So I don't have anything against either one of them. What I do worry about though is the confusion that that Jared Wilson and obviously Jared Wilson is a rookie. Will Campbell's a rookie. Just having two rookies in a playoff game against this type of defense that literally can run packages where they don't have a single defensive lineman on the field, and then just straight up bull rush you from like five different angles on a third and long, which again I suspect the Patriots will be in early, some third and longs. So, and again, we've been good there, but I think that that's going to be a strength on strength in terms of third and long situations in the clutch moments. So, I just think that I wouldn't fault him for starting Ben Brown. You know what I'm saying? But then the question is, do you ride this wave? And does Jared Wilson become your sixth man? And then like, what does that say about next year? I guess the ideal would probably be to move him to center at some point. So maybe this doesn't feel so much like a demotion, but this guy's been playing his ass off all year. I'd hate to not see him playing the playoffs, especially at a position he's been playing out all year. But I trust Josh McDaniels and Doug Marrone and those guys to figure out what they need to do there. But it's going to be interesting to see who they run with in their starting five. So I think outside of injuries, because I feel like maybe that was a little cheap. You guys are probably like injuries, duh. But I think ultimately it's going to come down to Drake May. Again, I don't want to ramble on about him, but I think he's going to have to see it. Josh McDaniels is going to do everything he can and compile everything he can together to make sure he sees it. So he has to see it. He has to see what coverages. He has to know what he's looking at. If he knows what he's looking at, he's going to go crazy. If he doesn't know what he's looking at, we're going to just see a different Drake May, probably closer to year one Drake May, and that's going to hurt, but it's still going to be a great season in the end, right? Wrong. We need to win this game. I'm kidding. Anyway, guys, we're going to get on out of here. Game prediction. Man, I think it's going to be a nail biter. I'm going Patriots 27, Chargers 27 to I'm going to go 27-24. I think the Patriots are going to win 27-24. I think the Chargers, when they're going to come out their first 15 plays or so, are going to make you, shit the bed if you're a Patriots fan, because I think they're going to absolutely carve up our defense. But I don't think that's because I think it's going to be by design. I think that very quickly these guys are going to settle in relatively quickly and declare the game. So I do expect a lot of grind and pound. I think that the second half is going to be when things start opening up, because I think Justin's going to just lock in because it's last game. I think he's going to do some incredible stuff in the end, but I think ultimately Drake May and his offense is going to be able to stay relatively on schedule. I think they're going to end their curse of having bad second halves. So I'm really, really excited to see how this game goes out, man. This is the playoffs. So anyway, I want to thank you guys again. Talk music, right? But no, thank you guys again. Thank you guys for listening to my preview. I know I talk fast. It's fine, right? Anyway, like, subscribe, send to a friend of a friend. Thank you guys for checking out the channel so much. I love you. Blessings to you. Praying for you for your 2026. May all your goals come true. Lock in, twin. And like, subscribe. Thank you guys.